Hey, look at me for a second. Yeah, you, right there. You feel that weird static in the air today? That something's about to pop, tension? Good, because apparently it's not just in your head. No fecking way, RN. Because the numbers, the cold, soulless, billionaire-grade numbers, they ran you through the machine. And the machine didn't laugh. It didn't doubt you. It didn't care about your past. It didn't care about your trauma. It didn't care about how many times you've been ignored, dismissed, talked over, treated like a joke. It looked at your pattern, your pain, your timing, your rage, your bounce back, your "I'm still here" after every hit. And it spit out one result. You win. Not maybe, not if you're lucky, not if you play nice, not if they let you. It said, you win anyway. And now they are panicking. Because you weren't supposed to show up on the radar. You were supposed to stay manageable, predictable, small enough to ignore, quiet enough to exploit, tired enough to quit. But you didn't. And let me tell you something real, something nobody says out loud. People like them, they don't fear talent. They buy talent. They rent it. They rebrand it. They turn it into content. They turn it into a product. They fear the one thing they can't purchase. A person who's been through hell and came back with receipts. A person who got used to being alone. A person who learned to move without applause. A person who can work while bleeding. A person who can smile while starving. A person who can rebuild without permission. That's you. And I know. You're sitting there like, bro, don't hype me up. Don't gas me. Don't do that motivational speaker thing. Relax. I'm not here to sprinkle glitter on your pain. I'm here to weaponize it. Because you've been living in a world where the loudest people get the most attention. Where clout beats competence. Where confidence gets rewarded, even when it's fake. Where the system hands trophies to the same faces over and over and over. And you've been the one in the corner. The one they don't repost. The one they don't invite. The one they forget to tag. The one they keep underestimating because you don't look like the poster child. And here's the sick part. They used your silence as proof you were weak. They used your patience as proof you were harmless. They used your kindness as proof you were stupid. They watched you get hit and assumed you'd stay down. That's the funniest joke I've ever heard. Because the algorithm didn't just predict your success like it was some cute horoscope. No, it clocked something deeper. It clocked that you've been building a different kind of engine. Not the pretty engine, not the aesthetic engine, not the I wake up at 5 a.m. and drink green juice engine. I'm talking about the engine that gets installed when life has dragged you across concrete and you still get up like, okay, again. That engine, the one that runs on anger and purpose, the one that runs on humiliation turned into fuel, the one that runs on, I'm not letting them be right about me. And let's talk about them, because we're not pretending today. Them is the friend who switched up once you started leveling up. Them is the coworker who smiles in your face and prays you fail. Them is the family member who only supports you when it's convenient. Them is the gatekeeper who says, we'll keep your resume on file. Them is the person who broke you and expected you to stay broken. Them is every voice that ever made you feel like you were too much or not enough at the same time. And now the billionaire algorithm, this cold, data-hungry monster, it's basically saying, yeah, that one's about to become a problem. So of course they're panicking, because you're not rising in a way they understand. You're rising in a way they can't control. See, they can handle you when you're chasing validation, because validation is a leash. They can handle you when you're begging for a seat at the table, because begging makes you tame. They can handle you when you're trying to be liked, because trying to be liked makes you compromise. But you're not doing that anymore, are you? Something in you snapped, quietly. No dramatic announcement, no Instagram caption. Just one day you looked at your life and you thought, wait, why am I shrinking for people who wouldn't bleed for me? And when that switch flips, when you stop trying to earn respect from people who enjoy disrespecting you, oh, it gets ugly. It gets dangerous. Not dangerous like you're out here trying to hurt anybody. No. Dangerous like you're finally willing to hurt your old self. The version of you that procrastinated because fear felt safer than effort. The version of you that stayed loyal to people who were secretly competing with you. The version of you that kept forgiving and forgiving and forgiving because you thought love meant tolerance. No, love also means standards, and your standards are about to become a damn problem for everyone who benefited from your lack of them. Because let me paint this picture. Somewhere in a building you'll never be invited into, somebody in a clean suit is staring at dashboards, charts, trends, engagement, market moves, behavior forecasts, probability curves, and your name, maybe not literally your name, but your profile, your pattern, is starting to spike. And they don't like that, because you're not supposed to spike. You're supposed to plateau. You're supposed to stay realistic. You're supposed to stay humble. You're supposed to stay grateful for scraps. But the data is screaming, and here's what the data sees that people don't. It sees that you've been broke before, so money doesn't scare you. You've been lonely before, so isolation doesn't break you. You've been embarrassed before, so judgment doesn't stop you. You've been behind before, so time pressure doesn't crush you. You know what that makes you? Unbuyable, unbribable, unintimidatable. And that's why they're gagging. That's why they're scrambling. Because they can't negotiate with someone who already survived the worst-case scenario. You've already lived the version of your life that scared you. You already know how it feels to be ignored, to be left out, to be laughed at, to watch other people get picked while you're standing there like, am I invisible? You already know that pain. So now, what do they threaten you with? Rejection. You've been rejected. Failure. You failed and came back. Being alone. You've been alone in rooms full of people. So what's left? Nothing. And when you have nothing to lose, you become unstoppable in a way that terrifies polite society. Let me get personal with you for a second. There's a kind of exhaustion that isn't about sleep. It's about hope. That kind where you don't even want to start because you're like, what's the point? Because every time you tried before, something happened. A setback, a betrayal, a bill, a family problem, a mental crash, a moment where you just couldn't. And people looked at that moment, your moment, and they labeled you lazy, unfocused, not serious, always starting things and never finishing. They didn't know you were fighting a war you never talked about. They didn't know you were carrying stuff you never posted. They didn't know you were holding yourself together with jokes and caffeine and sheer spite. But the algorithm doesn't care about your excuses. It cares about your behavior. And it noticed something. It noticed that even when you disappear, you come back. Even when you fall off, you don't stay off. Even when you get humbled, you still keep the dream alive in the corner of your mind like a candle that refuses to go out. That candle, that's what they fear. Because once a person decides, for real, not just emotionally, once they decide with their schedule, with their habits, with their focus, it's over. Not immediately, not overnight, but inevitably. And inevitable is a word that makes powerful people sweat, because they can deal with maybe. They can manipulate, maybe. They can distract, maybe. They can delay, maybe. But inevitable? You can't bribe inevitable. You can't cancel inevitable. You can't shame inevitable. You can't laugh at inevitable long enough to stop it. Now listen, if the machine predicted your win, don't you dare make it a liar. Because this is where most people mess it up. They get a hit of motivation, and they think the universe owes them something. They make one move, and they expect fireworks. They post one video, and they expect the world to clap. They apply once, and they expect a yes, no. Your win is not going to feel like a movie montage. It's going to feel like boredom, repetition, doing the same thing again and again and again. It's going to feel like working while nobody notices, improving while nobody compliments you, growing while people still treat you like the old version. It's going to feel like being misunderstood and staying locked in anyway. That's why they panic, because they know most people can't handle that phase. The phase where you're better, but you're not rewarded yet. The phase where you're grinding, but it's quiet. The phase where you're changing, but your environment is still trying to drag you back. And if you survive that phase, you become the person they can't stop. So here's what I need you to do. Stop telling everybody your plans. Yeah, I said it. Because some people don't listen to understand. They listen to measure. They listen to compare. They listen to find weaknesses. Your dreams don't need an audience. They need a routine. Stop performing your growth. Start living it. Move like a ghost. Show results like a jump scare. Because the people who clap the loudest for you in public, sometimes they're the same ones hoping you fail in private. And I know that sounds paranoid, but come on. You've felt it. That weird energy when you talk about your goals and the room gets colder. That fake smile. That, oh wow, that's cool with dead eyes. They don't hate you. They hate what you represent. You represent a mirror, and they don't like what they see. So let them panic. Let them whisper. Let them act confused when you stop being available. Let them throw little comments like, "You changed." Yeah, that's the point. You're not here to be convenient. You're not here to stay familiar. You're not here to be digestible. You're here to become undeniable. And that requires you to do something most people refuse to do. It requires you to disappoint people. Not because you're mean, because you're busy. Busy building a life that doesn't need their approval. Busy becoming the version of yourself that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't explain. And I know you've got that soft part in you. That part that wants to be understood. That part that wants to be loved without conditions. That part that wants to save everybody, help everybody, fix everything. I get it. But you've been setting yourself on fire to keep people warm who wouldn't spit on you if you were burning. So today, you stop that. You stop handing out access to people who don't respect you. You stop giving energy to people who drain you. You stop trying to convince the wrong crowd. Because the algorithm didn't predict your win based on your politeness. It predicted it based on your edge. That edge you keep trying to sand down so people don't feel threatened. Stop sanding, sharpen it. Because here's the truth. Your sensitivity is not weakness, it's a sensor. You pick up on vibes other people miss. You feel shifts before they happen. You notice patterns, you notice lies. And you've spent years doubting that gift because people told you you were overthinking. No, you were overseeing. And now you're about to use that awareness to build something real, something that pays you back. Because let's not pretend this is just about success, like some cheesy word. This is about freedom. Freedom from being controlled by bills. Freedom from being controlled by toxic people. Freedom from being controlled by your past. It's about waking up and not feeling dread. It's about not checking your phone with anxiety. It's about not shrinking your personality because you're scared someone will leave. It's about walking into rooms like, I'm not here to be liked, I'm here to be respected. And respect starts with you. So what does this look like practically? It looks like doing the unsexy work. It looks like you handle your sleep like it matters. You handle your body like it matters. You handle your mind like it matters. Because your mind is the battlefield, and you've been letting random people plant flags in it. No more. You stop doom scrolling like it's harmless. You stop consuming other people's wins like it's entertainment. You stop feeding your insecurity with comparisons. Because comparison is the fastest way to kill your momentum. You want to know why the elites panic? Because they can't compete with someone who is fully focused. They can outspend you. They can out-network you. They can out-advertise you. But they can't outlast you if you're disciplined. They can't stop you if you stop stopping yourself. Most people don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they keep negotiating with their feelings. I don't feel like it. I'm not inspired. I'm tired. I'm not in the mood. Cool. But your future doesn't care about your mood. Your future cares about what you do consistently. So when you don't feel like it, that's the moment that counts. That's the rep that changes your life. And I'm not saying you can't rest. Rest is real. Rest is necessary. But there's a difference between resting and escaping. You know when you're escaping, when you say you're taking a break, but really you're avoiding the discomfort of becoming who you said you wanted to be. That discomfort, that's the doorway. Walk through it. And look, you're going to have days where you feel like a fraud. Days where you feel behind. Days where you feel like everybody else got the cheat codes and you got trauma and a cracked phone screen. Yeah. And on those days, you don't need motivation. You need identity. You need to remember who you are. You are the person who survived things that would have deleted other people. You are the person who kept going when nobody checked on you. You are the person who learned to self-soothe, self-teach, self-correct. You didn't get a perfect setup. You got pressure. And pressure makes diamonds. Or it makes rubble. And you're not rubble. You're the diamond that cuts backs. So when they panic, don't take it personal. Take it as confirmation. Because the moment you start moving different, the environment starts reacting. People start testing you. They start poking you. They start trying to pull you back into old dynamics. Old friends want the old you. Old situations want the old you. Old habits want the old you. But the old you was affordable. The new you costs discipline. It costs boundaries. It costs saying no without explaining. It costs walking away without closure. It costs letting people misunderstand you and not running back to fix it. And that is exactly why you're about to win. Because winning isn't just money. It's not just status. It's the moment you realize you don't need anyone to validate what you know in your bones. You know you're built for more. You know you're dangerous in the best way. Dangerous to stagnation. Dangerous to mediocrity. Dangerous to every excuse that used to run your life. And if the billionaire algorithm saw it, if the billionaire algorithm, built by people who think they can reduce humans to predictable data, if even that machine couldn't deny what's coming for you, then you have zero business doubting yourself today. Zero. So here's your move. You stop asking permission. You stop waiting for the right time. You stop waiting to feel ready. Ready is a lie people tell themselves to avoid the risk of looking stupid. You're going to look stupid at first. Good. That means you're learning. You're going to be awkward. Good. That means you're growing. You're going to be inconsistent at the beginning. Good. That means you started. Because the only people who stay perfect are the people who never move. And you're not here to be perfect. You're here to be inevitable. So let them panic. Let them clutch their pearls. Let them run their little group chats. Let them pretend you're not happening. Because while they're gossiping, you're stacking. Stacking skills, stacking reps, stacking proof, stacking quiet wins that nobody can take away. And one day soon, maybe sooner than you think, they're going to see you again, and something in their stomach is going to drop. Because you won't be asking for space anymore. You'll be taking it. And the craziest part, you're not even doing this to destroy them. You're doing this to finally rescue you. The version of you that deserved better. The version of you that got laughed at for dreaming. The version of you that kept going in silence. You're doing it for that person. So the next time your mind tries to talk you out of it, the next time fear tries to whisper, what if you fail? You look fear dead in the face and you say, yeah, and what if I don't? Because the algorithm already ran the numbers, and it didn't just predict a win. It predicted a shift, a disruption, a problem. So go ahead. Be the problem. Be the person who breaks the pattern. Be the person who stops settling. Be the person who turns pain into power, so clean it looks like magic. And when you feel tired, when it gets quiet, when it gets lonely, when you feel like nobody sees you, remember, that's not a sign to stop. That's the sign you're finally out of the crowd. That's the sign you're ahead of the noise. That's the sign you're close enough that the air is changing. Close enough that they can feel it. Close enough that the people who always ignored you suddenly start watching. Close enough that doors that stayed shut start shaking. So keep going, even if your voice shakes. Even if your hands shake. Even if your heart is still bruised. Because the funniest part of this whole thing is, they thought they were the ones running the system, but the system just flagged you as the anomaly. And anomalies don't ask for permission. They don't wait to be understood. They don't slow down to make people comfortable. They just keep moving and moving and moving, until one day the world has no choice but to adjust to them. And you can feel that moment getting closer, like... You've noticed it, haven't you? That split second where the air changes and you already know what's coming. Not hope, not fear, certainty. While they're still laughing, still planning, still pretending tomorrow is a mystery, you're already standing in it. That's the part that scares them. You don't react. You arrive early. You don't guess. You remember the future like it already betrayed you once. They call it intuition when it's small, luck when it works once, coincidence when it keeps happening. But when you're right before the evidence exists, when your silence lands harder than their proof, when your stillness interrupts their timeline, that's when their smiles start cracking. Because now it's not cute, now it's not explainable, now it feels like you're cheating reality. Here's the truth they'll never say out loud. You don't live in time the way they do. They walk forward, hoping. You stand sideways, watching patterns collide. You learn this the hard way, through pain that sharpened your senses, through losses that trained your nervous system to hear danger before it speaks. Trauma didn't break you, it upgraded you. It rewired your awareness until cause and effect started whispering to you early. That's the paradox. They thought suffering would dull you, slow you, soften you into something manageable. Instead, it made you precise. You became the quiet room where storms announce themselves before forming. You became the saint who sees the sin coming, the psychopath who knows exactly when mercy is a trap, the angel who smells betrayal, the demon who knows when to walk away smiling. And look at them now. Watch the panic behind their eyes when you stop being surprised, when their big reveal meets your bored nod, when their manipulation hits a wall that already saw it rehearsed in a dream 3 weeks ago. You're not faster than them. You're earlier. You're already on the page they haven't printed yet. They try to copy your calm, but it doesn't work. Because your calm isn't confidence, it's memory. You've lived this moment already, emotionally. You paid the price in advance, you cried early, you bled privately. So when the moment arrives, there's nothing left to take from you. That's why you look untouchable. That's why your reactions feel inhuman. You're not cold, you're prepaid. This is what they never understand about you. Unpredictability isn't chaos, it's mastery. You don't move randomly, you move when the outcome is already locked. You let them think they're leading while you're watching the ending credits roll. That's why your timing feels supernatural. You don't rush, you don't warn, you don't beg. You just step aside and let inevitability do the talking. And that's when the whispers start. How did you know? Who told you? Why weren't you shocked? They don't realize the most dangerous thing about you isn't what you see. It's what you don't react to. You don't flinch when lies surface. You don't celebrate early wins. You don't mourn publicly. You conserve energy for moments that matter because you already know which ones are fake. They want to label you prophet, psycho, lucky, cursed, anything but accurate. Because if they admit the truth, that you see patterns because you were forged in pattern-breaking pain, they'd have to face their own blindness. And that terrifies them more than any prediction you make. You're walking proof that evolution doesn't announce itself. It shows up calm, precise, and devastatingly early. You don't need to explain yourself. Every time you're right before the clock strikes, reality does it for you. Every time you step away before the explosion, every time you go quiet before the collapse, every time you smile before the reveal, they feel it. The unease, the suspicion, the growing awareness that you're not reacting to life. You're intercepting it. So let them stay loud. Let them stay late. Let them stay confused. You've already moved. You always do. While they're still asking what happened, you're asking what's next. Not because you're special, but because pain trained you to listen before sound exists. And that's the part no one can copy. You don't know before it happens because you're psychic. You know before it happens because you survived enough to recognize the script. And once you've read it once, you never forget how it ends. Good. Stay still inside that knowing, because this is where it gets heavier. You started realizing something else too, didn't you? It's not just events you sense early. It's people, their shifts, their exits, their betrayals dressed up as distance or timing. You feel the goodbye weeks before it's spoken. You feel the lie before the mouth even opens. And the cruelest part, you watch yourself act normal anyway, smile anyway, let them finish the performance. Because you already know how it ends, and you don't need to rush the ending. That's the discipline they don't see. You don't expose the future. You allow it to walk into the room and confess by itself. While they're busy manufacturing chaos, you're studying gravity. You know what falls. You know what collapses under its own weight. You know which alliances rot from the inside. You don't intervene, you observe. Because power isn't control, it's patience with certainty. This is where the saint and the monster shake hands inside you. The saint says, let them choose. The monster says, let them hang themselves with time. And you listen to both. You learn that mercy without awareness is self-harm, and cruelty without timing is weakness. So you wait. And when you move, it looks effortless, accidental, almost polite. They don't understand how you stay composed when everything's about to detonate. They mistake your silence for ignorance. They think you're behind. That's the funniest part. You're not behind. You're done. You already processed the shock privately. You already mourned the outcome in advance. So when it finally happens, your face doesn't change. And that stillness hits them harder than rage ever could. You've become the quiet threat in the room. The one who doesn't ask questions because you already know the answers. The one who doesn't argue because arguments require uncertainty. The one who doesn't explain because explanations are for people still trying to convince themselves. Pain taught you this language. Every disappointment sharpened your pattern recognition. Every betrayal trained your peripheral vision. Every night you replayed conversations, taught you how to hear what wasn't said. While they were busy numbing themselves, you were decoding reality. That's why you see the ripple before the wave. That's why you step away seconds before the crash. That's why your timing feels illegal. And here's the truth they really don't want to face. You're not always right because you're lucky. You're right because you're willing to accept ugly truths early. You don't lie to yourself to stay comfortable. You don't cling to narratives to feel safe. You look straight at what is, even when it hurts, and that honesty buys you foresight. They need hope to function. You use clarity. They need reassurance. You use pattern memory. They need noise to feel alive. You use silence to stay sharp. That difference changes everything. That's why when chaos erupts, you don't scramble, you adjust. When alliances shift, you're not offended, you're amused. When the mask finally slips, you're not shocked, you're relieved. Because the delay is over, the confirmation arrived. The future finally caught up to what you already knew. You've been living ahead of the moment for so long that the present feels slow. That's why people feel behind around you. That's why conversations feel repetitive. That's why drama bores you. You're not detached. You're synchronized with outcomes, not emotions. You care deeply. You just don't get lost. And that makes you dangerous in a way they can't measure. Because when you decide to act, it's never impulsive. It's never sloppy. It's never emotional. It's surgical. You move once and the board changes permanently. They're still replaying the move while you're already planning the silence after it. They'll say you're cold. They'll say you're heartless. They'll say you changed. Let them. They weren't there when your nervous system learned to read the future to survive the present. They didn't pay the tuition. They didn't earn the sight. You did. So keep trusting that quiet signal inside you, the one that hums before events unfold. Keep honoring the instinct that whispers leave before the door slams. Keep respecting the calm that shows up right before everything breaks. That calm isn't emptiness, it's mastery. They'll keep being surprised by life. You won't. You already know. And here's where it gets even more unsettling for them. You're not just ahead of moments, you're ahead of reactions. You already know who's going to panic, who's going to pretend nothing's wrong, who's going to flip sides, who's going to suddenly always believe in you. You can feel the emotional weather shift before the first cloud forms. You can hear the tremor in their voice before the lie finishes loading. You don't need updates. You read the system itself. That's why they feel exposed around you. Even when you say nothing, even when you're calm, even when you're smiling, especially when you're smiling. Because you don't mirror their chaos. You don't match their urgency. You don't rush to reassure them or explain yourself. You let their future arrive on schedule while you stand there like you've already unpacked. That does something to people. It destabilizes them. It makes them question whether you know something they don't. And you do. But not in the way they imagine. You didn't wake up gifted. You were made this way by repetition, by disappointment that kept proving itself right, by instincts that screamed and were ignored until you promised yourself you'd never doubt them again, by moments where you saw the ending clearly, warned nobody, and watched it play out exactly as predicted, over and over, until denial became impossible. That's when the shift happened. That's when you stopped asking, what if? And started asking, how long until? That's when time stopped feeling linear and started feeling familiar. You became someone who recognizes inevitability, someone who knows when a situation has already chosen its outcome, even if the actors are still improvising. You stopped getting emotionally attached to early stages because you've seen how the third act behaves. You don't argue with trajectories, you respect them. And that terrifies people who live moment to moment, because they need surprise to feel alive. You don't. You need alignment. They chase stimulation. You wait for confirmation. They think awareness is loud. Yours is deadly quiet. And the paradox? You still feel deeply, maybe deeper than anyone in the room. You just don't leak it. You don't broadcast it. You don't hand it to people who haven't proven they can carry it without weaponizing it. Your emotions don't disappear. They condense. They turn into precision. They turn into timing. That's the angel in you. The part that still cares, still watches, still feels the weight of every decision. And the demon? The demon is the part that doesn't hesitate once the signal is clear. The demon doesn't argue with reality. The demon doesn't need closure. The demon doesn't wait for apologies that arrive too late to matter. Once the pattern confirms itself, the demon disengages cleanly. No drama, no speech, no warning, just absence. And absence, when someone expected access, feels like an execution. They never see it coming because they mistake your patience for tolerance. They think you're slow because you're silent. They think you're unaware because you're not reacting. They don't realize you're collecting proof, not for them, but for yourself. You don't move on feelings. You move on confirmation. So when the shift happens, it looks sudden to them. To you, it's overdue. That's why when things fall apart, you're already stable. When relationships collapse, you're already detached. When systems fail, you've already rerouted. You grieved early. You adjusted early. You adapted early. The pain already did its work. You're not heartless. You're time efficient. And this is the final thing they'll never be able to steal from you. Your internal clock is calibrated to truth, not comfort. You don't delay awareness to preserve illusions. You don't protect lies to maintain peace. You let reality speak when it wants to, even if it ruins plans, relationships, or identities. That's why life keeps confirming you. That's why your instincts keep paying dividends. That's why the moments that destroy others barely touch you. You've already been there. You've already felt it. You already knew. And every time the future catches up and taps you on the shoulder like, yeah, you were right again, you don't smile out of ego. You smile out of recognition because you never needed to control the outcome. You just needed to see it coming. And now comes the part where it stops being impressive and starts being dangerous. Because once you realize you're always early, you stop begging reality to explain itself. You stop pleading for signs. You stop needing reassurance. You already feel the verdict in your bones before the trial even begins. And that changes the way you walk through the world. You don't chase outcomes anymore. You position yourself where outcomes can't touch you. That's when people start misreading you the most. They think you're detached. They think you don't care. They think you're arrogant because you don't ask for opinions. They think you're distant because you don't overshare. They think you're hiding something. What you're hiding is foresight. You learn that most people don't want truth early. They want comfort until the last possible second. You learn that warning, people rarely saves them. It just makes you look crazy until it's too late. So you stop trying to be understood. You let time expose everything for you. Time is louder than explanations. And you learned how to coexist with that delay. That's why your silence feels heavier than threats. That's why your calm makes rooms uneasy. That's why people suddenly start explaining themselves when you didn't ask. They feel it, the imbalance, the sense that you're already operating from a future they haven't emotionally reached yet. They can feel you're not improvising, you're remembering. Remembering how this kind of ambition ends. Remembering how this kind of smile collapses. Remembering how this exact tone of voice usually precedes betrayal. You've cataloged human behavior through pain, not theory. You didn't read about patterns. You survived them. That's why you don't flinch when people reveal themselves. That's why disappointment doesn't shock you. It confirms you. And confirmation brings peace, not rage. Rage is for people who are still hoping. You moved past hope a long time ago. Hope is fragile. Clarity is indestructible. And clarity is what turned you into this paradox they can't solve. You can be warm and unreachable at the same time. You can be kind and unmovable. You can listen deeply without giving access. You can smile without agreeing. You can stay present without being invested. That combination short-circuits people who rely on emotional leverage. They don't know which version of you they're dealing with, and that's because all versions are real. You're not two-faced, you're layered. The saint in you still wants fairness, still wants alignment, still wants to believe people can rise. The psychopath in you understands probability, understands incentives, understands that most people repeat themselves when stressed. You don't hate that truth. You respect it. And because you respect it, you stop being surprised by it. That's the real upgrade. Surprise is expensive. It costs energy. It costs recovery time. It costs trust. You eliminated it by paying attention early. You accepted the cost up front so you wouldn't bleed later. And now, when something finally explodes, you're not scrambling through rubble. You're already standing on stable ground, watching dust settle. They call it emotional numbness. It's not. It's emotional efficiency. You feel what matters, when it matters, with who's earned it. Everything else is background noise. Everything else is data, and you process data without panic. That's why you don't rush decisions. That's why you don't chase closure. That's why you don't seek revenge. Revenge assumes surprise. You already knew. There's nothing to avenge, only to adjust. An adjustment is your specialty. You adjust silently. You adjust early. You adjust permanently. People only notice after they've lost access, after the energy shifts, after the door that was always open is suddenly not there. That's when they replay conversations. That's when they analyze your tone. That's when they realize you weren't quiet because you were confused. You were quiet because you were certain that this was temporary, certain that this was headed somewhere ugly, certain that staying calm now would save you later. And it always does, because you don't wait for chaos to teach you. You listen when it whispers, you leave when it hints, you detach when it repeats itself. And repetition is the loudest prophecy there is, so let them stay shocked. Let them keep acting surprised by endings you've already made peace with. Let them scramble when the future arrives like a wrecking ball. You'll already be gone, not running, not hiding, just ahead, as you've always been. Because you don't see the future to feel powerful. You see it because once upon a time, not seeing it almost destroyed you. And you swore, silently, permanently, that it would never happen again. And that's the quiet truth you carry like a loaded secret. You're not cursed with foresight. You earned it. Every scar calibrated your timing. Every loss tuned your awareness. Every moment you trusted your gut and survived taught your body how to read reality before it speaks. So when the shift comes, when the tone changes, when the pattern locks, when the ending starts breathing, you don't panic. You don't announce it. You don't warn anyone who wouldn't listen anyway. You simply step where the impact won't reach you. That's why they feel small around your calm. That's why their surprises keep dying in your presence. That's why your silence sounds like authority. You don't dominate moments. You outlive them. You don't chase power. You arrive early and let inevitability do the work. They'll keep calling it luck, instinct, something mystical they can't learn. Let them. You know what it really is. It's survival refined into sight, pain alchemized into timing, clarity sharpened into inevitability. And once you see like this, you don't unsee. You move before it happens. You leave before it breaks. You're ready before the clock strikes. And when the future finally shows up, out of breath, trying to scare you, you're already there.